I can't. Okay. Oh, thank God for editing. Laissez le bon temps rouler.
Nope. You said la. Yeah, you said Lou.
Lou. It's not Lou?
La.
La.
You said Lou. It's la.
La. But it's Ali.
It's la.
La.
Not Lou. How do you get Lou if it's L-E?
Oh. La.
Laissez le bon temps rouler. Le bon temps. Hey,
You said la. But
that's what I said.
Le bon.
You were
Okay.
saying Lou.
Okay.
It's la.
Laissez.
Laissez le bon temps rouler.
Laissez.
Laissez.
Okay.
Laissez le bon temps.
Okay. Laissez le bon temps rouler. I gotta say it with emphasis for the story. Hold on. Laissez le.
You had it.
Laissez le bon temps rouler. Hello dears, Natalie Locke here, and thank you for joining me with episode 16 of Write the Story, where I give you a writing prompt and 10 words to work into that writing prompt and try to do it in about 400 words, but let's face it, the definition of a flash fiction is less than 1,000 words. So do it how you wish. I try to go under 400. The way I normally do it, feel free to follow suit, is I outline for 10 minutes and I draft for 20 minutes. You can change it up and go straight into drafting with no outline and spend the rest of the time editing, or you could also take as much time as you need. It's your choice. I try to keep it short, mostly because I have kids and they interrupt. What's even more fun about this is that at the end of this, I share my story with you, let you know the difference between my outline and my story, as well as I critique my story. Who better to critique than myself, because I'm my own worst critic, and you're probably your own worst critic for your own story. But let me just go ahead and tell you what the prompt is for this week, as well as the 10 words, so that way you can pause the video and write the story yourself if you wish, or you can keep on watching and see what I came up with. The writing prompt is Magic Interferes in New Orleans. The 10 words to include are matriarch, throat, impossible, vinegar, apology, slice, microwave, raspberry, choose, and snore. I hope you enjoy my own attack at this story. It's been of a day, so we've had a wardrobe change, but let's cover how the story went. The outline first is, I set it in New Orleans. So then I had so much fun with this story because I researched Cajun and Creole. There is a slight difference. Because of the research, this took a little longer than the rest of my flash fictions, but I loved it all the more for it. I could see this actually becoming a full story. Just, I don't even know how it would explore this world or anything. It would just be amazing. But I will say the 10 words that I had to include made this outline a little difficult. I decided to set this in New Orleans, and it's a party. And the main character felt it would be impossible for her, and as an outsider, to be invited to this party, but she is, and she's at the party. I say she, but also we never get a gender of the MC. So I'm gonna keep it gender neutral here. The MC was invited by the matriarch, second word, to the party. And at the party, of course, you're gonna have drinks. So I researched a raspberry drink, which I believe is pronounced Rofignac. I don't know the exact pronunciation. It's named after a mayor of New Orleans from 1820. It actually has fallen out of favor, but the drink still exists and we have the recipe for that drink, so his name is still tied to it. The other drink that I thought of would smell like vinegar, so now we got the four words used. Our MC doesn't find the matriarch, and therefore when the matriarch finds her, she apologizes to the matriarch, like, I'm sorry I didn't look for you. This is where I had a little fun. When the matriarch is walking through the crowd to go to the stage, I say the crowd slices instead of splits. I said the crowd slices like microwaves were being sent out, motivating them or moving them to. So I had fun with the words there. I'm kind of glad that I used slicing and microwaving. That was a little fun. One thing to mention, to make sure all the words are accounted for here, I said the MC chose a drink, which was the raspberry drink. And then the last two words, I set it up where the matriarch said the party was a snore, and she wanted to bring life to the party. And with that, she touched the brooch on her neck and then made an announcement. So hopefully it has that eeriness to it. Now, before I read this story, let me explain. Even though I did research on Creole and Cajun, and I even researched how to pronounce this stuff because I do read my work out loud, I do not mean any disrespect to the culture of New Orleans, the history, and I apologize if my dialect is off or my pronunciation, or if I use a word incorrectly. I tried to research as much as I could, and it being a flash fiction, the whole point here is for me to just get the words on the page during the draft. Now, if I ever see to publish this, I will send it to sensitivity readers. Anybody who is familiar with the Creole or Cajun dialects, to make sure that I'm choosing the right words, that I'm spelling it, and I'm using it in the right context. So, here's the story. I enter the party dressed in Victorian costumes like everyone else, but I still feel like an outsider. I was invited by the queen of the ball herself, but she is surrounded by her partygoers. I wouldn't want to intrude. The drink table is a good distraction with their bar assortment. With all the choices, choosing a drink isn't hard. One drink even smelled like vinegar. The one I choose had a slice of raspberry on the rim, and the title card in front of the robe called the drink Rofenac. If you told me yesterday I would be here, I would have said it was impossible. I sip my drink, scanning the chatty crowd, ignoring the slow, melancholy music playing. It's not the lively dance I imagined. Sha, why don't you come see me? I jumped. Madame! I curtsied for some odd reason. I apologize. I was on my way. She placed her hand on my arm. Paf de bit. She hooked our arms together. Allons. She led me towards the stage. The crowd sliced like there were microwaves guiding them. Once we got to the stage, she leaned towards me, unhooking our arms. This fa dodo is a snore. Let's bring it life. She walked onto the stage. The crickets of the bayou were the only sound before the matriarch spoke. She touched her brooch choker with her fingertips, closed her eyes, and inhaled. When she opened her eyes, she scanned the frozen audience. Taking a breath, she raised her arms and proclaimed, "Vous êtes le bon temps roulé." Like I said, I really enjoyed this story. Learning about the Cajun culture and the Creole culture, two different cultures a little bit, from what I gathered in my research. And even though it was just a broad brushstroke, and like I said, I apologize if I did any mispronunciation of anything. It's a draft. I promise to have it polished and sent to sensitivity readers if I was ever to publish this. But working with what we got and the brain I have, I still enjoyed this story. I loved the matriarch. That's what I'm going to call her. The matriarch, I felt like had so much life to her, and hopefully my horrible accent did her justice and she came off the page for you too. But unlike previous times where I actually have a specific line or a specific thing I need to work on, this time it's like two separate paragraphs, pretty separate in the story, that stood out to me that needed some work. Well, one needed work, the other one I enjoyed very much, and I felt it gave the tension that needed. The paragraph that needs some work is the one where I talk about the main character saying, if you told me yesterday that I would be here, I would have said it was impossible. That line in itself is good, but the segue to they're just sipping their drinks, scanning the chatting crowd and ignoring the slow, melancholy music playing, and then saying it's not the lovely dance I imagined. Each line in that is good, I think, but I feel tying together, it seems very choppy. I think I should have set the scene more, maybe had the main character lost in her thoughts a little bit more before the matriarch broke the thought process. And I will say, I had the room to play with here, so I could have done that. Now, as I always finish this, my favorite line. This is more of my favorite paragraph, and it's the very end. I am not going to try to say the final sentence again. It took me a very long time to try to say it right, and I don't even know if it's right. But I will say that tension, the building of she touched her brooch choker with her fingertips, closed her eyes, and inhaled. When she opened her eyes, she scanned the frozen audience. Taking a breath in, she raised her arms and proclaimed. I just felt that was a lot of tension, and that's exactly what I wanted in that part. I wanted this tension, this rise, like something that you could feel in the air. And with the writing prompt of magic interferes in New Orleans, I don't think it was quite an interference per se, but I still feel it conveyed that prompt. And I had a lot of fun with it. I really did. I hope you wrote something just as enticing for yourself that you are proud of and want to make a video of yourself, which if you ever do, please comment with it down below. I will totally keep it on my page. I might even promote it on Instagram. Whatever you got. But I really enjoyed this. I think there's areas that definitely could have got better, like tying my background. And I've always had that issue of the environment and bringing it together. But I also think I did really good. I created suspense. I'm happy with that. I'll take what I can get. As always, have a good day, have a good week, have a good month, have a good year.